Being that you have worked in the correctional system, do you know what the Prison Rape Elimination Act is? Did you adopt it into your facility, and was it carried out to the best of its ability?
Yes, I know all that stuff. Yeah, I mean, obviously, there is the potential for sexual abuse of both male and female inmates inside correctional facilities. There was already policies in place that exceeded the mandates of the prison, the act, before I even got there. All allegations of sexual misconduct or out-and-out rape were investigated exactly the same way they would have been investigated by a civilian reporting it to a police department out in the community.
Specifically during your time, were there any measures that pertain to prisoner populations such as LGBTQI prisoners, prisoners with mental health and or intellectual disabilities, young prisoners, or prisoners in protective custody?
All of those. I mean, we always had transgendered people. That was a fairly common occurrence. Mostly locked up. Males appearing to be females, and were usually locked up for prostitution, solicitation, those kind of things. The rule is, and continues to be in most facilities, as long as they're not in any way harassed or harmed in any way, is that they're classified for whatever their genitalia is, and so they would be classified as males if they hadn't had reassignment surgery. But we did try to house them in areas that it was less likely that those inmates in those areas would give them any trouble, as best we could. It's an issue that corrections is going to have to deal with. It really is. They're going to have to come up with special housing
for everybody.
For everybody. I mean, there really is, and it's probably going to raise its ugly head when there's this realization that they've got to do it, and there's some bad thing happens that shouldn't happen. But the facilities are mostly old, and
they don't have the room to house those populations,
to create new space for populations. But unfortunately, I think something bad will happen to somebody from that community, which will cause somebody to realize that they need to address it. It's in everybody's best interest to address it. But God knows when that's going to happen.
While working in the correctional system, how many harassment cases did you encounter?
Harassment, sexual harassment, a number of them. I mean, I fired a female officer for having inappropriate relations with a male inmate. He wasn't complaining, but it was still inappropriate. Male officer for having inappropriate relations with a female inmate. She did complain. I think it was consensual up to a point, and then she decided that it wasn't going to be consensual anymore. Not that changes anything. We had a small number of complaints of rape by male inmates. The common thread at that point was, of the ones that complained, they were mostly consensual relationships, and they had a fight, and therefore it was complaint. Or the other alternative is they were consensual relationships that were discovered by a third party, and because they didn't want to come out as being in a same-sex relationship, they claimed it was rape.